The semifinals are half set and will be one step closer tonight. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Randomania. Alongside Up to NG, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and we are here with a quarterfinal matchup of the 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. We have the 16-seeded BeeTeas taking on the 9-seeded Xarnax42, and these two, Up to NG, certainly have a storied history.
Absolutely. How are you doing tonight? We have a great one here, and yeah, they were both quite successful in the Swiss rounds. BeeTeas first dropping the first round to myself, Up to NG, moving on to defeat Jay Coper in the second round. Second win over the Alan Heffley before dropping a second race to Tilo, and then finishing up at 3-2 with a victory over It's Too Early. Moved on to the first round, defeated Lavkin there, and then, at least on paper, an upset over the number 1 seeded JJ Schmid 77 in the Sweet 16 to arrive here in the quarterfinals against Xarnax, who put together a 4-1 record in the Swiss rounds by defeating Jay Coper and then Edgeworth before dropping a race to Centroid41. Rebounded in a nice narrow victory over Mr. Holmes, and then defeated McGrew in the 5th round to secure his first round bye, and then in the round of 16 defeated Tilo to secure his place in the quarterfinals. So both are peaking at the right times. They are fresh and ready to run a great race tonight.
They most certainly are, and there is a little bit of history between the two directly and head-to-head. In fact, it was in last year's tournament that was in a double elimination format that in the second round of that tournament, they went head-to-head, and it was actually Xarnax who bested BeeTeas. So a little bit of revenge factor on BeeTeas' end.
Yeah, so this, they're getting ready to start momentarily. We got both runners on the Big Z. You can see on the stat window, strength and HP. They're going to start with a relatively low strength score. Let's see if they can get something to help them out here.
Alrighty, and we'll get more into how things are going, but first we'll see what is in the throne room here as the king giving the instructions. We've got a cursed belt to start, as well as a set of wings, so they'll be able to hang on to that obligatory magic key.
The heal spell as well, and they could potentially sell that cursed belt for 180 gold if they do find a nearby town, maybe pick up an early weapon, but other than that, they're going to be looking for these slimes like BeeTeas has on his screen here.
Xarnax, meanwhile, going into the throne room where we've got an herb, we've got a magic key, so that is a very essential. We've got some gold, and we've got a trolling guard NPC that is covering a set of wings.
Yeah, you'll see a quick early divergence in strategies. BeeTeas is going to try and grind up enough gold to buy an extra key, while Xarnax just went straight into the treasury and happened to find an extra magic key in there as well as gold. So he's going to be able to go into the back door immediately and stock up on keys and check the basement, while BeeTeas is probably going to wait a little while longer before doing so.
BeeTeas is also not thrilled with the red slimes that have the Dragon Lord 2 breath. Now, what our runners are looking to do here, they're trying to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord. They'll need to collect certain key items to trade in for the Rainbow Drop, which will allow the runners to enter Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They'll also be fighting enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in their quest. And you can see things quite a bit randomized already here, as the overworld map, the treasure chest and search spot contents are randomized, as are the town and cave locations. As you note in the back of Tanagel Castle here, this is actually the mountain cave, as Xarnax getting put to sleep by an armored knight. BeeTeas, meanwhile, going for a reset as well. So that's not going well for either one of them here. Locations, as you can see, are randomized, as are the enemy spells and abilities.
Yeah, by the trajectory of BeeTeas going south, it looked to me like it might have been Swamp North there in the basement. And BeeTeas took an interesting strategy he went into the throne room, I think, after dying, and saved his game. So then he used the one key that he had. He didn't have any gold on hand at the time, but he used the one key to check that basement just to see what it was. And then after he died in there, I believe he reset his game to get his key back so that he could check that treasury. So now he's got the gold, and he should still have the extra key that was gained in the treasury, although I'm surprised that he didn't take that opportunity to go and buy more keys. Instead, he's looking for a town straight away.
Trying to utilize that gold to purchase some sort of a weapon, although it's not really going to help here against the Armored Knight with the sleep spell and just hitting for 33.
Now that he took a death and loses half his gold, he's a little bit closer now to the back door. I wonder if he'll take this opportunity to go ahead and buy more keys now.
And Xarnax, meanwhile, traversing
interesting play here. He's going to go back
and it is going to get to a town.
And meanwhile, BeeTeas knows that there's kind of a ghetto grind available because you always get an extra key every time you go in there. So seems to not be bothering to buy more keys right now. He knows that every time he goes in there, he can get the one key that he needs to keep going. And yeah, we have coal here for Xarnax. Let's see what's going on.
Oh, well, nothing really purchasable, and meanwhile, Xarnax searching in the spot in coal, and nothing found there. So that means that either the Fairy Flute or Erdrick's Token is going to be in a treasure chest based off of that.
So this is interesting. I think I saw a hand axe in that shop, and if Xarnax ends up doing what BeeTeas is doing here, he can go into the treasury and easily get enough gold if he can make his way back to this town, because since there is the key in that treasury, you're not like wasting a key to go in there. He could grab the gold out of there and come back here for the hand axe if his routing happens to take him in that direction.
Ooh, Ghosts with the traditional Dragon Breath, and that's going to send BeeTeas back to the castle at cost of half of that gold.
It's always interesting. It only takes 5 experience points to get to level 2, and you could have all sorts of really good things happen when you get to level 2. You get a really good spell, you can get a really good strength boost, but sometimes it just takes a while to get there, going one slime at a time here on Xarnax's side.
Well, that is certainly a challenge, as both of our runners trying to take on the slimes here, and it looks like Xarnax running into a wolf. Meanwhile, BeeTeas just 1 experience point away from level 2.
Yeah, and Xarnax gets there with this slime kill. That zone 0 seems to be fairly small because he's running into wolves right nearby. And 7 power is still not going to enable him to take on the wolves unless he got a really nice spell to go with it. We'll see when he opens that window next time he goes for the heal spell.
14 attack power, certainly able to one-shot a lot of things, but the Green Dragon is not one of them. And a Hurt More spell sends Xarnax back. Meanwhile, BeeTeas now getting to level 2. And it's the sleep spell. That could be useful on some slightly tougher enemies.
Yeah, especially going along with that strength score, you could definitely put that ghost to sleep, for example, and 2-shot it at most, now that they're up to 14 strength on level 2. The Magidrake here as well. Sleeping and attacking the Magidrake could get them to level 3 directly. So BeeTeas is doing just that. See if he can outlast him before running out of hit points here.
Oh, Xarnax, meanwhile, trying to traverse the mountain cave and running into a red dragon, proving why it is known as the Fun Police. In that, when they show up, the fun tends to stop.
Yeah, chat noting that may be Swamp North. I thought it might have been Swamp North. And of course, there's always the possibility for Garenham to be on the other side, and that has 3 chests. If you go in the back door, 3 chests are immediately available. So a lot of times you'll see runners desperately trying to see if it's there because the Erdrick's Sword could be lurking right around the corner.
Oh wow, level 3 for BeeTeas, 22 agility. So that's a huge defensive boost, essentially of 11.
You're actually defense breaking some of these enemies like the Magidrakey now already with that defense boost, and the agility will enable you to not get ambushed quite so often by some of those next level enemies like the wolf that's right nearby in the desert here. So some nice early grinding by both runners. BeeTeas is close to level 4, but takes another death to a ghost here. It's a little bit of a slow start as they navigate these early levels.
Yeah, BeeTeas was out of resources there, just down to a hit point, no magic points left to be able to heal.
Yeah, it feels like Xarnax has taken a few runs through that cave and now has fallen behind on the experience grind because he's been trying to do that particular errand unsuccessfully since there are very strong monsters in there. Seems to have given up on that and will be catching up now on the grind, but an early lead because of that for BeeTeas.
Although, with the little experience that both of our runners have, and with it only being less than 10 minutes in, the lead can change hands on numerous occasions, and they have throughout this tournament.
Yeah, excellent move for Xarnax. Not even enough to kill the Magidrakey, but surely he'll get him here. And level 3 for Xarnax.
And BeeTeas with a critical hit of his own on a Magidrakey. And that's going to get him to level 4. 22 power! Wow!
Okay, so now the question starts to be how much stat growth and spells do you want before you leave these zones and start exploring the map? I don't know that they're quite there yet, and it's not very far for the next level. So when we see BeeTeas continuing to grind for level 5, but now you have strength into the high 30s, and you have some pretty good agility. Hit points is pretty abysmal, as you can see in the red there for the tracker. So they'll probably want some more hit points before venturing out.
Yeah, anything below 20 is going to show up as red on our tracker here in terms of being below par statistics. In terms of the hit points, at least. The agility that you see in orange, that's already... It's something where you start maybe thinking about possibly if other stats are really good going for the Dragon Lord, but in this case, they're nowhere close with any of them. Once you start to see those turn green, you know that you're in a much better spot.
Interesting, Xarnax went straight to the swamp to take an intentional death warp so that he can refill and maybe look for some slightly stronger enemies. Once you get down to just a couple of hit points, it starts to be tough to take on even enemies like this Scorpion. But he does one-shot it here, so seems to have found a different zone. And this is not even the primary zones, because the Wraith is not one of the monsters you would typically see nearby the castle. And it has Dragon Lord Breath as well, so some nasties early on here.
Meanwhile, BeeTeas getting to level 5, and there's the hit points, 29 gained at level 5. And another 12 agility.
With a strength score of 40 and really good agility, and now you have hit points, enough hit points to withstand a hurt more. You may start to see BeeTeas leaving the nest and exploring the map here. It's a little on the early side. You won't be able to kill too many additional monsters, but you know, you can make some progress, and both runners finding this cave here to the north.
And that is the Staff of Rain Cave, as our runners will be looking for the Silver Harp and trading it into that old gentleman there to acquire the Staff of Rain, one of the 3 items needed to get the Rainbow Drop to access Charlotte Castle. Xarnax, meanwhile, taking another death, and the adversary noting, rather interestingly, that at level 4, the agility is higher than the hit points and magic points combined.
One thing that kind of surprises me, unless it was a really long way to that town that Xarnax found, I'm kind of surprised he didn't just go back into the treasury to grab that gold. I'm fairly certain there was a hand axe for sale there, and all this early grinding has been quite slow for the runners, and sometimes an early weapon can really speed things up. Kind of surprised, since he has found that town, that he didn't start doing that. BeeTeas, I don't think, found that town yet, and now he's finally going to go and buy more keys. But yeah, if you can find a town, you could speed this up quite a bit.
Well, that town was it was guarded by quite a bit of swamp. Xarnax pretty much using all of the MP resources just to heal up to get to that town, and then finding that, well, there was nothing there, although if there was, let's say, Erdrick's armor, that would totally turn things around in terms of this seed. Ooh.
Yeah. BeeTeas is going to take another shot through here. And here's an example. He can survive that 1 hurt more spell because of the increased hit points. Unfortunately, he runs directly into another red dragon, so down he goes. But it's nice to reach certain thresholds with that HP so that you can survive at least the first attack from the various monsters that you'll find. So he took another shot there, but that's going to be a pretty difficult trek to get through there unscathed.
Absolutely. Xarnax, meanwhile, just a couple experience away, 3 away from level 5.
You'll see, similar to what Xarnax did at earlier levels, it looks like BeeTeas is going to take a couple of tries to get through here, because again, if it happens to be Garanham on the other side, and there happens to be the sword over there, it's a complete game changer, and you don't want your opponent doing that, and you not at least trying to do it. So we've seen both of them attempt this run now, and BeeTeas is making some progress through here now. Let's see. It's almost there.
Just about 3 more steps, and he makes it, and it leads to another part of the land and another cave that has the Rainbow Drop Cave, also known as the Jerk Cave. He is whom you will trade all those items into to get the Rainbow Drop, and if you don't have all the respective items, well, he'll kick you out of the cave like the jerk that he is, most notably if you don't have the Erdrick's token.
Alright, so both of the old men have been found and located, and it looks like it might be a really small second continent, but no, it opens up here to the west. So, yeah, he'll continue in that direction. See if he can full clear this in the first try, and then concentrate on that first continent.
And here comes level 6 right on the number for BeeTeas. 3 power, 9 speed, 2 hit points, 15 magic points.
And there's the end of that second continent. So there's nothing else here except the jerk. So they will have to revisit this side towards the end to pick up the Rainbow Drop. But that's all that's available over here. It could be quite a large first continent. And now BeeTeas knows that he doesn't have to come back here for any reason. We may see Xarnax continuing to try, since you know, he still doesn't know what's on the other side.
And BeeTeas, I guess, finding another zone right at the top there, and has found a wolf. Meanwhile, Xarnax running into a Dragonlord breath fire-breathing poltergeist.
It's interesting that the wolf is in play here, because that really high agility score that they have for level 6 enables them to take a lot less damage from the wolf. They just have the heal spell and the sleep spell available right now, but that is enough to take on some of those monsters. The knight is probably not going to happen just yet, though.
And that's an interesting area that BeeTeas is in, is along with the wolf, you have knights, you have wizards, which are some of the upper level enemies of the game.
Yeah, I think he's targeting that wolf specifically, and the Drakima just happens to be a decent enemy as well. But yeah, 40 experience each for the wolf. That's about the sweet spot right now on level 6, since they don't have a very high strength score just yet. And, you know, BeeTeas has not found a town with which to buy a weapon just yet either.
And here at level 5, the skeleton, not a bad one for Xarnax, and that's going to get him closer to level 6.
So I think Xarnax finally has done what I was thinking he would do earlier. He has about 700 gold on hand, and he's going to make a beeline for this town. If he can make it, I'm fairly certain there is a hand axe there, unless I misread it.
No, I definitely saw a hand axe, and I think there's also a leather armor that would be affordable here. It was a hand axe. We got a broadsword, I think. Or no, flame sword, as well as the leather armor, half plate, and magic armor.
Alright, so we have an early equipment advantage for Xarnax. We'll see that bumps up his attack power by 15. So while BeeTeas is grinding with his fists here, trying to punch these wolves, out with 43 attack power. Xarnax now is going to be able to take on some slightly stronger monsters a bit earlier than BeeTeas, and that could help him to cut this experience lead.
And here's level 7, 5004 for level 7. Couple of empty eye stats there. And here's level 6 for Xarnax.
I just noticed that BeeTeas is still hanging on to that cursed belt as well. That sells for 180. So if they happen to find a different town where there's a convenient item shop, you know, you could at least buy maybe a full stock of herbs if there's no weapon handy for that price. But that's a nice thing that they started with, just some gold that you never really lose when you die, because you can sell that at any time.
And BeeTeas looks to be avoiding the swamp.
Yeah, Cole is right on the other side of this swamp, correct? So
yeah, Xarnax went through it. BeeTeas is opting to grind around it, and therefore is avoiding the town. And BeeTeas going after a wyvern and taking it out for 64 experience.
Wow, that's a big one, and he's continuing to get more wyverns here. Not defense breaking the wyvern just yet. So unfortunately, this battle is going a lot worse, but they are fairly susceptible to the sleep spell that they do have available. So yeah, it's a little bit of a reach, but that's a really nice kill. And Xarnax seems to be grinding in a desert region to the east of Cole, where he's finding wolves and drolls over here. So he's taking a pause to try and gain some experience now that he has a nice weapon at his disposal here.
And you can see the experience lead that BeeTeas had that was closing in on 200 has been cut to under 100 at this point.
Yeah, unless the next level happens to have hurt more or something like that. If BeeTeas doesn't find some equipment, that Xarnax will continue to have that advantage and will probably accelerate his own experience lead as he goes here with more grinding with the hand axe. I think he's two-shotting the wolf every time he finds it now.
He is, although the wolf busted out a hurt more spell, which I don't think we had seen previously.
I think we might have seen it early on BeeTeas' side, and that's fortunately they do have just enough hit points to survive. I think hurt more does up to 45 damage, so it's nice that they finally did get that HP boost. But yeah, that's not exactly what Xarnax wants to see. If he wants to, though, he can put the wolf to sleep. It's highly susceptible to sleep. So yeah, he's continuing on this same zone. Unfortunately, the slime is popping up quite often, not what he wants to see right now. It's hunting, I believe, mostly for the wolf, and if this slime keeps coming up a lot more often here, he might just move on, and he does.
Yeah, our runners, meanwhile, averaging about a death a minute. That's how tough the enemies have been in the early going. Both combining for 20 deaths in 21 minutes.
Our first metal slime seen here, and slightly damaged so far. It seems to be sticking around. At this stage of the game, it would be quite a boost for Xarnax if you could get him here. Takes 3
he
hits.
He got 1,
generally.
he got 2, and he got 3. So that's a big 255 experience, and that's going to vault him up into the experience lead and get level 8 as well. 8 power, 1 speed, 5 hit points, a magic point, and the spell of Heal More.
Yeah, and that'll be a nice pickup as they gain more hit points. Right now, the heal spell mostly will suffice, but a great jump up to level 8 for Xarnax, and since he does have the hand axe, I would expect this lead to grow even further. He has no trouble fighting the wolf, and he's got another town now.
And here's another metal slime. Can Xarnax go for 2 here? Well, these metal slimes are being persistent.
BeeTeas is using the sleep spell now on the wyvern, and this is.
And he gets another one.
Oh my goodness, and another level up for Xarnax.
And another spell, and we've got the town of Rimeldar, which is a little anticlimactic considering that keys were available in the outset. And inside the chest, we have the fighter's rings. That'll add 2 attack power to the total.
So right now, more than half of Xarnax's experience total has been made up of 2 metal slime kills. It's incredible how much that plays a role if you get him early on like he has.
Meanwhile, BT is running into a red dragon.
Well, red dragons are worth just as much experience as a metal slime. Problem is, they're probably going to kill you.
And Morgan, I don't know if it's fighter's ring or not. Okay, he equipped it immediately. All right, it was so fast you blinked, you missed it. And we've got another town up on Xarnax's side to the north and west.
And it's interesting because all the areas that BeeTeas has explored seems to be just empty land masses, and Xarnax went and, well, now that I say that,
Cantlin.
BeeTeas finds a pair of towns, one of which is Garanham.
So there's a lot that's going to be found in a short second here. We've got some gold and a fairy water and some more gold in Garanham. Meanwhile, Xarnax heading over to the old man in Cantlin to find out what the coordinates will be. 3 north and 1 east! Oh my goodness!
Wow, that's one of the shortest walks I've ever seen in a tournament race. And BT's, I thought that he found one of the major dungeons, but perhaps it might have been the tablet cave because he seemed to have noped out of there. Maybe he's going to go back and buy some torches or something. He does buy the large shield. He had some money from that chest that he picked up in the back of Garanham here, and he might be ghetto grinding for some more equipment here. We'll have to see.
And Xarnax searching as we blinked here, and it was the Erdrick's armor.
There's actually 2 gold chests in the back door here, so I would think that he may exit and come back in, but no, first he's going to go check out this dungeon. Yeah, Erdrick's armor is a huge pickup for Xarnax. It's a very high defense, power, and a whole bunch of other abilities that goes with it. And it's one of the items that you'll pretty much need to finish the game, so that's out of the way for Xarnax. And he can make great progress now.
And we've got a fairy water and gold and a magic key in Garen's Grave's upper part. So the back of Garanham is Garen's Grave. Something you wouldn't expect considering that it's a randomizer. Occasionally that happens.
Yeah, and he just took a death, and now he does know that there's gold in the treasury in Tanteagle. And he took a good look at that shop in Garanham. It's a kind of a walk to get back there from where he is, but he may go for a gold grind here. We'll see. Nope. Choosing to exit instead.
And the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave for Xarnax finds an herb.
Yeah, I think Xarnax, he ended up going across this swamp and towards Cole, and then headed east and north from there and found all these towns, while BT's, it seems to be going west from that area. So they've been exploring totally opposite ends of the overworld, and I think it just happens to be favoring Xarnax just in the randomness of what happens to be on this side of the world compared to the other side. Finding more towns and caves, one of which had Erdrick's armor.
And with the curse belt being found early on and Cole not having anything, that, I believe by process of elimination, would mean that Hawksness will contain the Erdrick's token.
So, just real quick, Xarnax has run into 3 or 4 Stone Men right now, and he's been running away. I think he could actually beat a Stone Man now. He's got almost 60 hit points. With Erdrick's armor, he's taking relatively little damage on average from the Stone Man, and they're highly susceptible to sleep. And he has the Heal More spell at his disposal, and he has 76 attack power now with that last level up. I feel like he could be beating all these Stone Men. They're kind of longer fights at this point, but it's 155 experience each time. I'm surprised he's been running from so many of them.
And DW Edit noting it, the Fairy Flute could be a possibility as well, which I hadn't even thought of. So it could be one or the other, as we only know that one of them is in there. So true, one of them is in a chest, and the other is in Hawksness. We don't know which is which, though.
By the way, BeeTeas makes it back to that pair of caves, and he does do a little bit of a ghetto grind through those 2 gold chests in Garenham, and then he takes that gold over to Brockenary. Just ends up picking up the copper sword. I thought that there was some other good stuff there as well, but maybe he's going to go pick up those chests one more time. Every time you do this, it burns a key, but as long as he has enough keys, he can do this a few times and get some pretty nice equipment right now. Between these 2 shops, one in Garenham, one in Brockenary, he could outfit himself pretty nicely here.
Most certainly. And Triple Factorial noting the timing in chat, noting that the Stone Man does little damage on average, as at that point Xarnax, granted he got max hit for 33, but it was half his health at the time. But it was a damage range of 16 to 33, so
yeah.
Interesting and fun timing. Meanwhile, the full plate armor picked up by BeeTeas.
It's definitely a close fight, but on average he can definitely withstand 2 attacks, which means, and if you're putting him to sleep pretty often as well, that's definitely a winnable battle. I'm surprised that he didn't go for it at the time, because 155 per fight can really vault you forward when you only have, 12 or 1300 total at this point.
And meanwhile, Metal Slime kill number 3 for Xarnax. Not garnering a level necessarily, it was right in between where you would need to get to. The target number is going to be 1500 for level 10, as Xarnax now traversing the tablet cave. No enemy encounters, but there is one chest at the end which contains a dragon scale, which he already has one of.
So I'm starting to understand the strategy now. I guess, you don't really need to fight Stone Men if you're just going to, beat every metal slime that you encounter. So, very nice.
Yeah, that makes it
Xarnax.
easy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense now that I see what just happened. Well, that's one more chest that Xarnax has out of the way. Tablet Cave has been found and cleared. So yeah, he's actually quickly running out of chests. He hasn't been over to the Garenham side to clear those 3 chests, but I guess he still hasn't found the major dungeons yet, has he? So still some work to do.
Yeah, the top 3 chests in Garen's grave found, but the 2 deep in the grave were not yet reached, and the mountain cave is yet to be found, and that is it as far as treasure chests outside of Charlock Castle. So 5 plus 2, 7 different treasure chests, and in 2 of them we'll have 2 of the major items that we need. Is now here comes level 10 for Xarnax.
Yeah, that's an awfully empty looking tracker we have here. There's no quest items have been found. We're over 30 minutes into the seed, so they just happen to be hiding in some of those chests that they haven't reached yet. It's interesting. So there's not really any hurry to get those quest items, but you do need to get them at some point if you want to enter Charlock and beat the game. So those last few chests will contain those quest items. The token, of course, could be in a search spot or in a chest. And only 1 cursed belt, I believe, has been found so far. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but so we don't know for sure where the token is just yet.
That is correct. One cursed belt was found, and 1 search spot was empty in the town of Cole. So with Erdrick's armor being in the overworld search spot, or the fairy flute, one of those two is going to be in Hawk's Nest, the other is going to be in a treasure chest. And here is the mountain cave for Xarnax. So we will narrow those possibilities down momentarily.
So BeeTeas seems to be stopping again to do a grind in a particular desert zone here. I've seen Metal Slimes and Rogue Scorpions so far. The Rogue Scorpion is a relatively tough battle, but it seems to be doable here. An excellent move will help a lot, but that's worth quite a bit, 70 experience, and he seems to have the equipment and the stats to take those out pretty easily. So he's grinding on the Rogue Scorpions. I think that's what he's hunting for mostly, and if he happens to kill a Metal Slime in the process, just that much better.
Oh, wow. And Xarnax in the mountain cave running into a demon knight that has the spell of sleep and was using it often and just punched Xarnax back to the castle.
Yeah, there's a term for that, isn't there?
Slept and wrecked, I believe, is the popular terminology for that.
You've been slept and wrecked, sir. Back to the castle you go. So now he'll take the opportunity to restock on keys, which is a smart move. A lot of times you get low on keys while you're using them on your exploration. And he's going to take another trip through this swamp cave. Remember, he has not been to the other side yet. BeeTeas has full cleared this second continent. Xarnax doesn't yet know what's over here, and he has not yet found Garenham. So I think he's really hoping that it's going to be over here. But as we know, it's going to be pretty much just the Rainbow Drop Cave on this side for him. And he likely will continue to explore an empty continent.
Meanwhile, a hero's run through the cave. No enemy encounters that I believe I saw through the cave. But a stone man's there to make his presence felt.
And he does on level 10 now. Well, no, he's going to run from this stone man as well. Okay. Well, here's that strategy again. I guess if you're going to keep running into Metal Slimes, but no, unsuccessful that time.
Yeah, the stone man's still hitting for anywhere between 16 and 33, so that's potentially up to 2/3 of your hit points damage if he max rolls you.
So Xarnax, with those 3 Metal Slime kills, he did get off to about a 700 or 800 experience lead, which was pretty substantial, but BeeTeas has found this grind zone and has cut that lead in half already, and he seems like he's not intending on stopping just yet. The Rogue Scorpion is a nice enemy for him right now, and he's found and defeated several of them for 70 experience each, so the lead is dwindling.
Well, with the full plate and large shield, along with the level ups at high agility, BeeTeas is now damage breaking or having a different calculation that occurs once your defensive points are the same as or higher than an enemy's strength. So the Rogue Scorpion in this case is going to hit at most for 10 hit points, and at least it could miss for 0.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get really good equipment, and they did get very good agility gains early on, to just find the enemy that you're just barely defense breaking, because if it doesn't have any special abilities, it's fairly free fight, and it's a pretty good amount of experience. And I don't know if he's killed any of these Metal Slimes on the way, but he's run into a lot of them, and there's one now, finally.
There's one for BeeTeas.
And the lead has vanished. We have an even race experience-wise.
And the Red Dragon taking out BeeTeas, or taking out Xarnax, rather. BeeTeas taking out the Metal Slime.
Yeah, I think Xarnax has found more locations overall. Hasn't yet found any quest items beyond the armor there. But yeah, the experience lead is even now, so I think each has found the locations that the other one needs for the most part. I'm not sure if there's anything out there that we haven't seen entirely. I'm not sure if we've seen Charlotte Castle, for example.
That's just what I was thinking. I don't believe we've seen Charlotte Castle yet, as Xarnax now heading over and is going to find Garenham.
Okay, so now that he's found this half of the world, I feel like Xarnax does have a little bit of a lead He's seen a lot more locations now, and he's going to, he'll go ahead and clear out these chests and go through the basement here as well.
And chat correcting us here that Xarnax did find Sherlock, or at least saw the mode of it.
Coal for BTs now, but there's nothing in the spot. For a moment, I thought the armor was there. I'd forgotten where that was, so... But now he knows it's not.
BeeTeas finds Cantlin.
And a little bit of a weapon upgrade for BeeTeas, upgrading to the hand axe. He's pretty good on defensive equipment at this point, so on he goes.
72 defense, that's able to damage break most of the enemies in the game. There's only about a little more than a dozen that he's not able to. Starting from the knight all the way up.
Yeah, and I haven't even noticed the silver shields, which would be one of the only items remaining that could really boost their defense at this point.
Well, there is one in Garanham, which Xarnax is about to find out now.
Ah, there it is. That's right.
Yeah, all 3 shields are available in Garanham.
Yeah, it was interesting because BeeTeas was over here fairly early and cleared those chests in the grave. And when he died in there, he opted not to do a traditional gold grind in the treasury after seeing that shop with that silver shield. And he came right back to this part of the world. So I'm actually a little surprised about that. Maybe he didn't have the confidence that he could make it back here at that stage of the game, so he didn't want to, keep resetting and all that. But yeah, if he had grinded at that stage, he could have that silver shield right now. At this point in the game, he may never end up doing a gold grind because we're getting, a little bit later. There's not much left for him to do.
Yeah, there is, but there isn't, as BeeTeas and Rimmildar finding and equipping the fighter's ring.
And we'll see now that Xarnax is on level 10, much further along than BeeTeas was, I wonder if he'll just go down into the lower levels of the grave that BeeTeas never did explore, if I recall. Did he go down there? I don't think he did he?
He did not. There was, I think it was a red dragon that impeded his progress.
Yeah, it feels like it's quite likely that one of the quest items will be down there because there's not too many chests remaining, so this could be an advantage for Xarnax if BeeTeas saves this for last. He'll eventually have to come down here just for that purpose of diving down, while Xarnax is sort of doing this on the way.
Yeah, the only item of note is the acquisition of Erdrick's armor by Xarnax. That occurred about 15 minutes ago. BeeTeas, meanwhile, is going to find the coordinates momentarily and is going to facepalm.
Yeah, and any of these chests along the way, by the way, could contain Erdrick's sword, which right now is still pretty significant, as neither runner has gotten to the level to learn the Hurtmore spell.
BeeTeas miscounting on the steps on the barrier tiles and had to take a death and go all the way back.
Well, if he just starts searching from the castle and working his way outwards, he could find the armors laying right there. But no,
well, he didn't get the knowledge on it, and he walked right over the tile.
Well, that is an unfortunate error there, but he knows where Cantlin is. So now it's a matter of, does he go straight back there, or does he go in a different direction? Because he's going to need those coordinates in order to get that armor. But yeah, neither runner has the Hurtmore spell yet, so mainly relying on physical attack. So any of these chests could have the sword, which is still quite significant. This could be a late Hurtmore seed here. Very
possibly, in the Red Dragon
now. So BeeTeas is really getting the worst of it after that unfortunate incident, and he's going to have to shake it off and move on here while I completely missed
Stones of Sunlight on Xarnax's side.
And so we have one of the key items.
Woohoo! And it only took 42 minutes. No big deal. So now one treasure chest to be found deep in Garen's grave.
Yeah, so now it's confirmed that BTs will eventually have to make a special trip back to Garenham and into the grave in order to acquire that key item. Yeah, so it's unfortunate that he just didn't have the resources to dive down there the first time he went through. He only cleared the top portion. So that's going to set him back a little bit further in terms of walking time to make that trip back over there. And Xarnax is having some trouble now. He's down to 12 MP, and he has not yet gotten to the last chest.
Oh, goodness. Lorgon noting in chat, Xarnax42, 42 minutes to find the Stones of Sunlight. Oh, the coincidence.
Well, here's attempt number 2 for BTs to traverse the spike tiles here, the barrier tiles. And he makes
realizing that 4 steps will not do it, you have to go 3, and here comes the facepalm. 3 north and 1 east. And that brief pause, I think, was for some not safe for broadcast words, which is why the mics are muted for this.
Alright, so armor for BTs pretty much evens things up, except for those stones that Xarnax found. And did he get that bottom chest? Looks like he's looking for a death warp now, so what was in that bottom chest? He lights up the room so that it's quite clear now that he got the chest. Alright, so we had a torch down there. So nothing of consequence in the very last chest, which will save BT's a little bit of walking. But, and he does take out the wizard now. He's trying to close in on level 11 while he's down here, it looks like.
Although, this might be a little tough here. Yeah, not able to quite do it.
Well, so he'll take a free trip back to the castle. Well, not free, costs half your gold, but that was the plan in that case, instead of walking all the way back out of that dungeon. And for a moment it looked like he was going to refresh his keys, but now he's going to grab some more gold out of the treasury, it appears.
And he can also do a key grind here as well.
Ah, so that's a nice move there.
Actually, yeah, there's a lot that can be done with this. Now, the reason that this is going on, and we've mentioned the gold grind a few times here, is that chests respawn every time you go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limitations the game tracks only up to 8 chests as open, and every chest open beyond that 8th chest can be taken over and over again. So when Xarnax had opened and cleared the 5 treasure chests in Garen's grave, Death warp back to the castle, the throne room, where those 3 treasure chests in the beginning are always marked as open, so you don't take those over and over again. So now once you get to the 9th chest and beyond here in the treasury, you're able to take those over and over again. So Xarnax currently using that to just feast on anywhere from 500 to 750 gold per take, and also in that bottom right corner stacking up on herbs, and can also go to the bottom left corner and fully replenish his magic key stock as well.
I expect him to get about 25,000 gold. He saw the silver shield in Garenham. I think the flame sword was there as well, or it was in a nearby town. Okay, so and the flame sword is going to start to become significant if they don't end up finding Erdrick's sword until entering Sharlock. I don't think we've seen either of the spike tiles yet, but if the grinds that are available are not really hurt mortal enemies, then having the flame sword for the grind will be significant for Xarnax at the end of the game. And the silver shield, of course, is an additional 10 defense power, which will start to enable him to defense break some of the Sharlock enemies already, which has a number of advantages as well.
Yeah, the acquisition of the silver shield once it's acquired here, with them already being at 76 defense points, it'll give them an additional 10, so that'll bump them up to 86. So you'll be looking at defense breaking the wizards that have already been a thorn in the side of both of our runners, as well as the werewolf and star wyvern, which are 3 of the 10 enemies that can be found in Sharlock Castle.
I'm not totally clear why Xarnax is going back here. Only the Rainbow Drop Cave is on the other side, and he might be looking for the spike tile just to see what's going on, but now he's carrying around all this gold. Although I suppose if he dies here, he can just go back into the treasury and get some more gold out of that same chest. But yeah, taking a peek at the spike tile, and it is a stone man. Okay, so he had a save on hand, so he's going to reset with the gold available that he already grinded up. And so now he has the information. But yeah, again, the Stone Man's not really something that you're going to want to hurt more at the end of the game if you decide to grind the Stone Man for whatever reason. So that, you know, having the Flame Sword will be significant at that point.
Plus, it doesn't have the greatest hurt more susceptibility. I think it's about 50-50.
Yeah, if you do choose to grind the Stone Man, let's say both spike tiles are Stone Men, for example, you typically are just going to use melee attacks against it, so you're going to want the best weapon possible. So there's the Flame Sword at Cole, and I expect that he might go to Garrenham next. I think that's in the other direction, though. Maybe he found one in one of the other towns.
It is entirely possible.
Yeah, maybe Cantlin had a bunch of shops I didn't notice, but I'm sure he knows exactly where it is. He's making a run for it.
Yeah, I don't think... I know there wasn't a whole lot of checking here, and I can't recall if it was in Rimmildar or not. I know I saw some of the shops, but I didn't see all of them here, and...
It's possible.
The magic armor.
Yeah, it's possible he didn't really check the shops as he was going, so I don't know if he actually checked the shop in Garrenham. I know I saw BeeTeas check it, and so we saw the Silver Shield is there. I don't remember if Xarnax checked that shop. So now, oh, and there's Sharlock, by the way, northwest of Cantlin, so I assume that Xarnax already knows where that is as well. So I think that's all the locations in the game now.
There it is.
And he is well equipped.
So there's the Silver Shield, and there is level 11 for BeeTeas. Right at the 50-minute mark here. 1, 3, 5, and 3, plus a new spell.
Now, was Xarnax already in the mountain cave at one point and he died in there? Or does he still need to find that? Because we still need to find the harp.
I believe Xarnax was on the first floor of it and then took a death. And here is level 11 for Xarnax, just 20 seconds after BeeTeas had reached it. So the experience is pretty much a dead even heat. And Mr. Spokes noting Hawk's Nest has yet to be discovered.
Yeah, Hawk's Nest actually could still have the token, I believe. Trying to do my cursed belt math here, but I think it's actually possible that the token is there.
Correct. We don't know. It could either be the fairy flute or the token. It has to be one of those two. So for those of you just joining us, we're 50 minutes into this quarterfinal matchup between BeeTeas and Xarnax42. Also want to thank Melee Wizard for taking care of the tracking, Sparkover for coming in at the last minute to help with the restream so we can bring this to you here on Randomania. Alongside Up to NG, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and we have, oh man, this is a heck of a matchup between the two here. Now you might notice we usually go over where some of the things are, but as far as the key items, the only one that's been found so far is the Stones of Sunlight, and that was midway in Garen's grave. The Silver Harp is yet to be found, Erdrick's Token is yet to be found, Erdrick's Sword is yet to be found. Erdrick's Armor, well, it wasn't too far from the castle, but it took a while to find that out, as the coordinates you can see on the screen, 3 north and 1 east of the castle.
Yeah, and you can see that the experience battle is pretty even right now. It's almost exactly even. However, Xarnax does have a bit of a lead as far as exploration. Having those stones is significant because BeeTeas already went into the top levels of the grave. Now, he is making his way back in that direction, but I don't think that it's for the purpose of diving the grave at this point. But I could be wrong. It looks like he's going back there. So this is significant now if he's deciding to go there for the stones and whatever else he can find. And on Xarnax's side, I believe the only chests that he has not opened are in the mountain cave, whereas BeeTeas still has the bottom of the grave, among other things.
That is correct. So just those 5 treasure chests, so we know for certain that the mountain cave will have the silver harp. Now, whether it also has Erdrick's token or whether that is in Hawk's Nest, that we do not know as of yet.
Yeah, or Erdrick's sword as well could still be in the mountain cave, and that would benefit BeeTeas pretty greatly because he is sitting on the hand axe right now, and eventually they're going to want to grind for end game levels, and he's going to want a better weapon than that.
And Xarnax taking out, I believe that was a red dragon for the 255. Yes.
Yeah, it feels like Xarnax is actually still hunting for the mountain cave, so maybe he actually was not in mountain when he died that time. Maybe it was a different dungeon, because it looks like he's double checking other caves, hoping that it's the mountain cave, unless he's just kind of forgotten which of the caves that he's been in is the mountain cave, because he went into the stones cave there, I think probably looking for mountain cave.
There could very well be a little bit of doubling. And here is the Stones of Sunlight for BeeTeas.
Yeah, and if BeeTeas happened to save this for last, he could save himself this trip to this bottom chest, in theory, if he didn't want to look for the sword, for example. But since he's not yet explored a number of chests and he still needs the harp and all that, he's going to make the same walk down for the torch that we saw Xarnax do a few minutes ago.
And Xarnax, meanwhile, not bothering to run away from the red dragons, just continuing to fight it, able to withstand some of the damage of the Hurt More spell thanks to Erdrick's armor, as it negates the Hurt and Hurt More spells as well as the Fire Breath by 1/3.
Wow. He does manage to defeat it, and you're right that the equipment is helping for that, but one of the challenges here is they still only have 64 hit points, and they're getting up in levels. And some of those types of monsters are pretty dangerous still when you don't have enough hit points to survive 2 attacks in a row. Red Dragon, even with all this equipment, the Red Dragon can still hit Xarnax for about 40 damage if it decided to do a physical melee attack instead of the Hurt More spell.
The physical melee at 87 defense on a red dragon is going to be anywhere between 19 to 38 hit points of damage. So that's still more than half.
Yeah,
at 64 HP.
64 HP. It's not even enough to withstand 1 Dragon Lord breath, for example, unless you have Erdrick's armor, which fortunately they both do. But it's really quite a low HP total, and we're seeing a number of overworld deaths from BeeTeas, for example, as a result of that.
And the Tablet Cave is right behind Charlotte Castle.
So here's the same fight, and BeeTeas electing to run away from the Red Dragon. They have the same level and the same stats, except that BeeTeas did not get the silver shields that Xarnax has. And he's also not able to hit the Red Dragon as hard because he's still on the hand axe. So that's an example of where the equipment advantage is allowing Xarnax to fight and defeat enemies that BeeTeas continues to have to run away from. So that enables Xarnax to potentially grow that experience lead now.
Yeah, just a difference of 13 attack, but it makes a huge difference.
Choosing to run away from the Golem, though, I guess it's the same problem. The Golem just hits too hard when you have 64 hit points. And he doesn't yet have the Fairy Flute, and we don't know if the Golem has any special abilities that would be helpful, but he's running away from still a number of enemies because the hit points just aren't there yet. Armored Knight is another one that can be a problem.
Yeah, for BTs, even more so, with the Golem or the Red Dragon hitting for anywhere between 20 to 40 hit points.
Fortunately, they have gained some relatively decent agility, especially early in the seed. So he did have close to a 50-50 chance to run from that Armored Knight, so he's choosing to run from some of those dangerous enemies right now. Green Dragon sporting Hurt More. Now, as you mentioned, Hurt More does only up to 30 damage now that they have the Erdrick's armor, so he can just barely survive 2 Hurt More attacks. So he is going after the Green Dragon, and successfully so.
And meanwhile, is hoping for just one more defense point, as that'll allow for Xarnax to damage break the Green Dragon. And here is the Silver Harp in the upper part of the mountain cave.
Yep, a nice find. He knows it has to be in here, so it's out of the way quickly. Now he'll continue to clear this dungeon because he hasn't found the sword, and there is still a chance that the token could be down here as well. So he will full clear this, and at that point, I believe Xarnax will have seen all of the chests available.
Oh, there is Erdrick's sword.
Wow, interesting that it's not in Charlock. It was sitting right there the whole time, not even key blocked. But this dungeon has some fairly difficult monsters, so it's no wonder that we're just now getting to the sword nearly an hour into the seed.
Yeah, it was Dragon blocked and Armored Knight blocked, which I think is a little tougher than key blocks. So Xarnax going to take a look. Enemies pending on what those other 2 chests contain.
Yeah, in a way, that actually favors BTs because eventually, and probably pretty soon, he will also find the mountain cave. It's one of the last things that he's looking for as well. And so he won't end up having to he won't have to gold grind for the flame sword now that the Erdrick's sword is available outside of Charlock. When he does find it, I think he will not even bother for the silver shield at that point, so he'll save some time on the gold grinding since the sword is available.
One other thing of note that Lorgon is mentioning here, that he's looking for the other chest because we still have Erdrick's token to be found. So if it's into that last chest, the 42 is essentially looking for, trading in for the staff, and then the Jerk Cave. And here is level 12, 15 power. And the rest not as stellar.
Yeah, so what I was mentioning about that favoring BTs, I mean, he has to find it quickly for it to pay off, because all this whole time that Xarnax has it and BTs doesn't, it's enabling Xarnax to kill a lot more endgame enemies and grow this experience lead. Oh, and here's another item that we're pretty far away from using.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to come up in this case. The Death Necklace, which it's a cursed item in both this version and the vanilla version of the game. However, in the randomizer, there's a special programmed effect to it. If you put on the Death Necklace, you get an additional 10 attack power, but it comes at the cost of 25% of your maximum hit points. Considering that they are starved for hit points, I don't think that is the case, that they're going to be using it.
Yeah, I want to say that Xarnax, I think, now knows that the token has to be in Hawksness. I think he's found every other place in the game now. Just hunting for it now. He's just hunting for Hawksness. Where is it on the overworld map? He's wandered all over the map, and it is eluding both runners still at this point.
The adversary noting in chat, well, if they're at level 13 is all of a sudden a 70 hit point gain, which is, as much as he jokes about that, that is not out of the realm of possibility, as I believe Ness Cardinality was running a seed on his own stream, one of our semi-finalists, and running some practice, and
yeah, and here's the harp now, and it is being traded in for the staff by Xarnax. And of note here also is that they still, on level 12, have not obtained the Hurt More spell. So while Xarnax carries around the big stick and BeeTeas is still on the hand axe, and there's no way to hurt more enemies, this is just allowing Xarnax an easier time with battles. But BeeTeas has been keeping pace pretty well. The lead is still not that significant in terms of experience. And both runners still need to find Hawksness. Now, if the spike tile on Hawksness happens to be something that's hurt moreable, that may come into play later. But in the meanwhile, they're going to want to defeat that enemy at least once, one way or the other, to obtain that token. But the other spike tile in the Swamp Cave is a Stone Man, and that's usually the last choice for most of the time for endgame grinding, and they're maybe don't need too many more levels if they can eventually get some hit points, because the attack power is almost there. But yeah, they're going to need a lot more hit points, so we'll see how much grinding is required.
So apparently my mic had cut out in the middle of that sentence there, and I do apologize for that, chat. So Card was running a seed and had actually attained a level where there was a 70 hit point gain. So as much as it's joked about, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Unlikely, yes. Impossible, no.
There was a surprising fight there from Xarnax. He fought the golem, unless he was intentionally death warping, I'm not totally sure. But he fought a golem there with low hit points, and golems have very high hit points sometimes surprising how much hit points they actually have, so it's possible that he just wanted to get back to the castle, but it looked like he was trying to defeat the golem there. I don't know. But continues to be on the hunt for Hawksness, the last piece of the puzzle for Xarnax. And BeeTeas, I believe, still needs Mountain Cave, which he's in there now.
Is in there, yeah. So has already acquired the Erdrick Sword as well as the Silver Harp.
And he's 2 steps away from his Death Necklace, which he'll keep that in the back pocket. Yeah, and now that BeeTeas has also cleared the grave, he's not that far behind any longer for exploration, because neither one has found Hawksness, and I can't think of anything else that BeeTeas now has not found. So things are heating up now, because the experience lead is not that significant either, and BeeTeas now has the sword as well, so that advantage for a brief while there no longer exists.
Yeah, the only major difference at this point, as BeeTeas is about to acquire the Staff of Rain, is the acquisition of the Silver Shield.
It was interesting.
Xarnax has it, BeeTeas does not.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah, and right now that isn't allowing Xarnax to defense break enemies such as the Wizard, the Werewolf, the Star Wyvern, and the Green Dragon. Which could come into play on a potential Sharlock dive later in the game if they don't gain too much more agility along the way. But yeah, it's interesting because BeeTeas, in his strategy, he stopped several times in various zones to do some dedicated grinding to basically catch up a few different times on experience. And it seemed like it put him a little bit behind with exploration, but sometimes, that doesn't hurt you so much when they're still not really that close to the final level and they're almost done with exploration. And now that BeeTeas is caught up on exploration, it seems like all that grinding paid off, because he was at an equipment disadvantage for quite a while, and he's only 500 points behind.
And chipping away there at the Green Dragon, as BeeTeas runs into a Stone Man.
And
both of them dealing with it.
They still don't want to fight this Stone Man. They have the Sleep spell and they have their Heal More spell. It feels like you should be fighting the Stone Man. It is a very low hit point total that they're dealing with, though. They still only have 65 max at level 12. So some of these enemies, they just don't want to deal with. But I think you kind of have to fight them.
Stone Man has Heal More.
And if they saw that...
Meanwhile, here's the next level.
it's possible that both runners saw that earlier, and that would explain why they keep running from them. I missed that. I did not see that until just now, so that's interesting.
Xarnax, meanwhile, getting to level 13. No power, 5 agility, 6 hit points, and 6 magic points gained on the level. Thank you, Sports Hefe, for clarifying the totals for me in chat. That is appreciated.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the spike tiles is a stone man, so if for some reason the other spike tile is also a stone man, that is kind of annoying until they learn the stop spell if it happens to have low resistance, but yeah, that's a really annoying battle if for some reason they have to grind on stone men. It's almost like at that point you'd want to find an overworld grind or a Sherlock grind instead of concentrating on either of the spike tiles. So we'll see how they deal with that once they do determine what is on the Hawksness spike tile. They're gonna have to find it eventually.
Wow, an excellent move or critical hit for BeeTeas, smashing a Wolf Lord into 102 pieces.
Feels like Xarnax in particular has done a tremendous amount of walking around this map looking for Hawksness now since the last thing that he actually accomplished. BeeTeas hasn't really been hunting for it for as long, but I wonder where this town is, because it is really tucked away somewhere. They have not found it yet, and they have covered a lot of map at this point.
And the adversary noting in chat, pretty much everyone knows this already, but without at least 97 max hit points, the game simply isn't going to be doable. I have seen it done with a little bit lower, but it's not likely. But BeeTeas has found Hawksness. Looks like it's very far north and in the swamp.
Wow, this whole time I was feeling like Xarnax had a pretty good lead, but this is very significant. If Xarnax can't find this for a little while, and this is a grindable enemy, BeeTeas could really catch up in a hurry here. Unfortunately, we have a potential slept and wrecked, although I think we're defense breaking Demon Knights now, so less of a problem than they were previously. Oh my gosh!
Oh no, you were calling it all seed.
No.
The Stoneman as the guardian in both the swamp, cave, and in Hawksness.
I have to apologize to the runners. I think this is my fault completely. I can't believe this just happened.
I think they call that the commentator's curse.
Yeah, now fortunately they are susceptible to the sleep spell, so if they just stay asleep, you can get through this fight like BeeTeas just did. But now the problem is, where are you going to grind? So right now BeeTeas has everything he needs to finish the game. He knows where the Rainbow Drop Cave is. It's on the other side of the Swamp Cave. So now are you going to stay here and try and grind the Stone Man that has heal more? Wow, this is an interesting decision, because it almost feels like he should try and do something else. Get the drop and maybe go into Sherlock. But, you know, they don't have the Hurt More spell yet either, so it's not like there's really that much of a better option yet. But I bet if, you know, level 13 contains Hurt More, it looks like it does according to our tracker, because Xarnax just got there. When BeeTeas gets there, I would wonder if he's going to switch gears and go somewhere else.
But I guess the question is where?
Well, if you take a peek into Charlotte Castle, for example, you could, if you get lucky, have a lot of enemies in there that are Hurt Moreable. The first floor could have a bunch of werewolves and star wyverns and axe knights.
Maybe an axe knight, yeah. I don't think we've seen an axe knight this whole seed.
Right. So it's just, you know, the Stone Man grind, especially in this situation. And I don't even know if they know the stop spell yet, so it's just kind of ugly. I think if they have Hurt More, there's probably somewhere else that would be better. And Xarnax just having tremendous problems locating this last map location. It's Hawksness. Where is it? He has really covered this map several times now. He's going all over the place. I feel like I've seen him walk through this forest here and into this swamp 4 or 5 times already.
And you figure there's got to be a little bit of panic that's setting in as well. Of
I think it's
where
up this
haven't
way,
I looked?
though.
But he is heading in the right direction.
Yeah, here it is. It's through this little area way up north, and he finally finds it. So now we have a very close race. BeeTeas is looking for some place to grind, and Xarnax has a very slight experience edge. And so the race is on, guys. This is close now. So BeeTeas could take this opportunity to go through Swamp Cave and grab the rainbow drop. I believe that's right here in the back of Tanteagle. Looks like he's heading
through the
that way
Swamp
now.
Cave, yeah.
Yeah, so once he grabs that, he's got options. He has the
Oh no!
Ooh.
Xarnax getting put to sleep and punched out by the armored knight.
Oh, and he didn't get the token yet? Oh my gosh, that's a
He
pretty
did
big setback.
not make it over to the spot, so he doesn't even know what the Guardian is.
That is a setback, but it's kind of similar to the setback that BeeTeas had when he miscalculated the barrier tiles there at Cantlin and had to walk all the way back there for that item. So if Xarnax can remember the way all the way back to Hawksnest, it seems to be a pretty big walk because he's going south and east and now north, and he's got to make his way all the way back to the west. It's like a pretty long walk.
Past Sherlock, and
and then north. It's like up past the northwest corner after going east here. This is about as far of a walk as you can ask for, so that death was incredibly unfortunate.
And Zneeman, the Erdrick sword was in the mountain cave and among those top two chests on the second floor of the
So I just saw BeeTeas cast
of the cave.
Hurt More on the red dragon, so that was potentially a miss menu unless he wants to death warp here. I guess. Did he get the rainbow drop yet? Because I don't know what just happened, but he just tried to hurt more on the red dragon and he went down in flames. So
No, that looks to be a miss key according to chat.
yeah, so that all sorts of things happening to our runners as the tension is mounting. Both runners are seeing the clock approach 1:15, which is, at this stage in the quarterfinals, that's about around the time that you'd expect people to start finishing. So I think they're both feeling the pressure, having some problems here. And this swamp cave is littered with these red dragons, and at 71 max HP, it's still not a cakewalk to get through this battle.
Xarnax feeling it a bit too, as intending to heal more, but casting Hurt More on the trees.
Yeah, I forgot they both just learned it at level 13, so that explains the death for BeeTeas. Heal More being at the bottom of the entire seed up until just a couple minutes ago. And still not fighting the golem because they don't really have the hit points to withstand 2 physical attacks from a golem. And it's going to try and go after the armored knight even though it does have sleep, so we're having the same issue here. My goodness. Will he wake up this time? 2 steps from the spike tile. And he gets the double Hurt More and it actually lands. So.
Wow.
Only a 15 out of 16 chance of landing. I've seen it miss. But he got him that time. And here's the Stone Man.
Meanwhile, BeeTeas just getting dragon after dragon down in the swamp cave.
Yeah, and don't look now, but BeeTeas just took the experience lead. So all this running around for Xarnax having to relocate Hawksnest has cost him the experience battle right now. And BeeTeas has the drop first. So, a change of fortunes, as I felt like Xarnax had the lead in this race for about an hour. And now BeeTeas pretty clearly has the lead now. Just needs to figure out where to grind. Where is he going to grind? Is he going into Sherlock? I feel like that might be the play here, but I'm not sure.
Looks it, yeah.
He also has some areas here that he maybe noted in the past if there are some Axe Knights. There is an Axe Knight here, so he made an of an overworld spot, and sometimes you can combine this with the Repel spell and just hunt down some specific endgame enemies. It takes a little bit of walking to get these encounters. It's a little bit slower than using a spike tile, which you get every step in an encounter. As long as he can now take on this red dragon pretty, confidently, and he can get that Axe Knight, this might be a pretty decent grind here.
And an interesting question in chat, Zman42 asking, how much of a difference is the silver shield versus the large shield going to play a role?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things that I find it to be useful for is, fighting your way down for that last level. Xarnax right now is defense breaking the 4 easiest enemies in Sharlock, so he could pick and choose, pick off some enemies and fight down for the last level. Sometimes that saves a minute or two compared to a dedicated grind on a spike tile. And usually you only want to do that if you have enough defense power. So that's one factor. But right now it seems like BeeTeas, he is not going to get that silver shield, so he's going to make do without it. He's kind of grinding near Brocken area where he can pop in for a quick in and return back to this little hills region right south of the inn for more grinding on red dragons and axe knights. So we'll see if this choice pays off for BeeTeas. And once Xarnax goes and gets his rainbow drop, I'll be interested to see what he decides to do for a grind. I'm willing to bet it's not going to be Stone Men. So need some creativity on the grind in these situations.
Yeah, at this point at level 13, ooh.
So this is an example. It's just the hit points are so low that a red dragon grind right now is dangerous. Like BeeTeas had 72 MP and took a death, which is, it's fairly inefficient to not exhaust your resources on a grind, and you have to walk all the way back to wherever that grind was. So it continues to be a challenge until they get some more hit points here.
So now it's a race to the grind and the finish here as Xarnax acquiring the rainbow drop just 3 minutes and change after BeeTeas did. Both looking to see what level 14 brings. The target number to get there is 5,625 experience. Just 229 away for BeeTeas. Now 130 less than that with the Axe Knight.
Yeah, one more significant enemy kill away. This red dragon would do it. And they're going to need some more strength as well, but right now they would love to have some HP.
Yeah, they're going to need at least 25 hit points and ideally another 10 to 13 strength.
Just in terms of defense from withstanding hits, the Silver Shield does come into play in this Red Dragon encounter too, as with only 81 defense power, the Red Dragon probably can hit for 40, whereas Xarnax is taking a few points less damage on average, so it comes into play in some of these scenarios, and a lot more hit points finally for BeeTeas. There we go.
There it is, 24. I was close, 24, 25. I wasn't too far off there.
And this is kind of what I thought would happen, is that somebody would choose the first floor of Sharlock for a grind, and Xarnax is finding wizards and some other reasonably good enemies to fight in here. But this is a nice spot for BeeTeas if the Red Dragon can be confidently killed. So I kind of like the choice from BeeTeas here so far. And if you're not going to fight this golem, I'm not so sure if this is a great grind spot, but Xarnax is now fighting it. And when he gets to 14, I think he will have a lot less of a problem fighting golems once he gets those hit points.
It looks like it's the same problem either way, in that the golem, it doesn't look like it has anything funny, so it's just melee attacking, and even with that 91 defense for Xarnax, that advantage there, the golem's still hitting for anywhere from 18 to 37 hit points.
And so 122 for attack power is not quite enough, but we're getting to the point where we could be one level away. And at some point, especially on Xarnax's side with that defense power, do you risk a dive here trying to pick off some of these enemies? He's already seen now that the first floor has wizards. I I thought there was another weak enemy in this zone as well. But you could actually fight your way down in this stage and get to 7,500, when you're near the bottom, if you feel like you could get 7 or 8 more strength on the very next level to win the game.
Possibly. And to answer the question in chat, the required attack power, there isn't necessarily a set number. It really depends on your other statistics. Usually, you don't see anybody going in with less than 128. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it would be pretty uncommon. You'd have to have very high stats in the other categories to fight the Dragon Lord with less than 128 attack power. Because at that point, you are going to need triple-digit MP for heal mores, and maybe a lot of HP as well for some double attacks. It starts to get significantly worse for you, even just a couple of points lower than 128. So yeah, that's a pretty good benchmark. Right now, at the current statistics, 128 would not be enough because we're sitting on only 11 heal mores for Xarnax. But you could gain some more MP on the level up as well, as long as you go back to an inn. When you get the level up, you'll get that MP. Now, if you fight your way down, then you don't get the MP because you haven't revisited an inn. So right now, if he were to dive, he would be sitting on 11 heal mores, which with that MP, my charts say you want somewhere in the neighborhood of 134 for attack power. So we could still be a couple of levels away. And if that's the case, they're going to really need to figure out the most efficient grind spot, because there are a lot of choices. There's no clear option here. And if somebody finds one that's significantly better than the other, they're pretty much going to win this race. BeeTeas has extended his lead in these last few minutes here.
It's about a 1,200 experience lead, but again, that defense could be the determining factor. We shall certainly see. The winner of this will move on to the semifinals to take on defending champion Game Boy F9. And once we hit the semifinals and the championship round, those are best 2 out of 3. Right now it's single elimination, but starting with the next round, it's going to be best 2 out of 3 for the semifinals and the championship. So that will be rather essential for those who are left in the fray.
Ooh, there's armored knights on this top floor, and they have sleep, so that's kind of ugly. BT's fine. That's the first enemy he found. He was going to the left as if he was going to start diving here for a potential like we were just talking about, but now I think he's just going to get the level in here now that he sees what's potentially, has to deal with on this top floor. He's already using magic, so this is more of an information dive, just wants to see what's in the first couple of zones and grind the enemies along the way.
And see what level 15 brings, is that it's just 7 experience away with the target number of 7,500.
Well, gonna have to wait a little longer.
Oh.
We have a lot of slept and wrecked going on with that armored knight. That is a problem. They may want to get a little bit of extra MP to potentially cast some stop spells on this guy on this dive. That is a pretty big problem when a tough Sharlock enemy has the sleep spell.
And between the two runners, that is combined death number 40 in this seed.
Ouch, that sounds painful. And, ooh, we have an early death necklace. What just happened here? I think Brockenary is very nearby. So it looks like Xarnax may be intentionally putting on the death necklace for the grind here. And, plans on taking it off in a couple of levels from now, using the old man at Brockenary, perhaps. Unless it was a mismenu, I mean, I don't know. But I know that Xarnax is somebody that sometimes will use the death necklace early when trying to do one of these overworld grinds. I'm not so sure, though, because he's finding a lot of hurt more enemies, which you don't necessarily need more attack power to hurt more enemies. Actually, a little bit curious if that was a mismenu. I guess time will tell. And interesting.
Well, the chat's noting that they think that it might be related to trying to get a high enough attack power to take on and take out metal slimes.
Take on the metal slimes? Okay, 132 attack power. I actually don't remember the numbers really well for metal slimes, but you're very close to being able to one-shot a metal slime right now. I think with 132, you might be guaranteed to hit for one.
Yeah, you are guaranteed a 1 to 2 attack range.
Yeah, okay. So he's actually going for a metal slime grind. I've never really been a fan of this, but especially because the rest of the zone is just Wraith Knights, and I see some Drakies popping up. And you can't use the repel while you're doing this because you'll actually repel the metal slime. That's one of the big drawbacks here. So you're going to get a lot of
less than desirable enemies, yeah.
Encounters, yeah. I feel like just grinding Charlock would be significantly better than this here, but we'll see how it works out, especially if level 15 gives him enough attack power. But we see on BT's screen they apparently got no... Wait a minute now. No, they must get 10.
No, there's a 10 difference.
10. Yeah, they're going to get 10. So once he gets to 15, he'll start one-shotting the metal slime. So at that point, maybe it's a thing. We'll have to see how it plays out. And BT's is down in the second zone now. And I haven't noticed if he's been burning MP on doing this or if he's going for game here. Looks like he's still sitting on 11 heal mores. So he might be fighting his way down. Now, this is pretty difficult to do when you don't have that silver shield because he's not defense breaking any of the weak enemies except the wizard. And I'm not really sure. Let's see, at 132 and 92, that is very nasty. That's like an extreme borderline level. If he actually gets the Dragon Lord on this level, you know, I'm not so sure. I think he's got a chance to win with these stats, but it would be pretty ugly. Like, you have no wiggle room with this hit point total at 98 hit points. So
yeah, you're not going to get any double attacks.
No double attacks. Defense power only 82. He's picking off some enemies, so I think he plans on getting to 16. But again, that's kind of tough to do when you're not defense breaking these enemies like the Green Dragon. If he had the Silver Shield right now, he would defense break this enemy right here and take hardly any damage, assuming, you know, it doesn't cast Hurt more. But so far, he's managed to hold on to the magic. Let's see, he is managing it so far. Still pretty far away from level 16, though, so I think a lot will depend.
Level 16's experience is 9,750.
Yeah, a lot will depend on what exactly he finds on the spike tile guarding the Dragon Lord. I think he wants that to be a favorable enemy. He's heading that way now.
Got blue dragons on the lower level here.
Yeah, I didn't catch what they had. They had some kind of an ability, but I didn't notice what it was.
Looked like it was the baby breath, the
okay. That's
dragon fire breath that does, yeah.
If he does that most of the time, and that happens to be the spike tile enemy, that's actually not too bad.
But it also has heal more.
Okay, that would be significantly worse then. So let's see what it is here for the spike tile. He's gonna heal himself up, and okay, well, I think that's exactly what he doesn't want to see. The Armored Knight has sleep. You are not going to be grinding on that very successfully, so I don't know. He's got 1,500 points to earn here somehow without burning any heal mores. That's going to be a tall order given the mix of enemies and the lack of a silver shield. This is where the lack of a silver shield actually is playing a pretty big role.
Meanwhile, that level has maintained holding on to the death necklace for the moment, and at 142 attack is guaranteed to one-shot metal slimes.
Yeah, it's just not popping up that often, and sometimes it preemptively runs away. Well, this time it's sticking around, so he's going to get this one. So yeah, every time he finds one, it's 255. It's definitely an interesting play when there's not a clear grind.
And just like that, Xarnax has retaken the experience lead.
Yeah, this
is
really
right back and forth, yeah.
BeeTeas
they are even. Oh my gosh, they have exactly, just for a moment, they had exactly 8801 apiece.
So BeeTeas is going to have to find a way to get this level while he's down here and somehow not burn too many heal mores. Like, he could probably burn 1 or 2 and hope that he gets a significant strength gain, but he's going to burn through all his herbs first. This is a really kind of a tough spot for BeeTeas. If there were easier enemies here to choose from, it would be better. But, like, even the green dragon has hurt more. He's just taking so much damage from all these enemies. He needs like 4 or 5 more good kills, and somehow he seems to be doing it so far, but that's a really tough ask here. If he manages it, then of course he'll have an advantage in that, you know, he's already down here. But wow, yeah, if this fails, then Xarnax will have the lead at this point.
This is just an amazing play. Both of our runners doing respect and pulling out all the stops here heading into the semifinals.
So it's only going to be 4 power at level 16. That's going to put BeeTeas up to 136, which should be good enough if he can manage to not burn any heal mores. Now he's getting some pretty good hero walks in this grass, which is helping him heal up without using resources. Wow, it's gonna be close. Yeah, if he's got to burn any heal mores, it becomes a really dicey fight again. He's already burned 1, I guess. So when he gets this level, oh my gosh, it's going to be a very close call. And that's assuming he doesn't burn any more heal mores. And it's, oh, what a tough spot for BeeTeas here. He's 1 enemy away. He basically has to beat this spike tile enemy, which is the worst situation. It's an armored knight with sleep. And, ugh. And he does manage to run from the red dragon, so he's desperately trying to heal himself up on the grass in order to take on this armored knight. And then he's got to somehow get through that battle without getting slept and wrecked.
And meanwhile, it looks like Xarnax is continuing to grind up to level 17 on that same area.
Yeah, no, Xarnax, I think he took a peek into Charlock, so he knows I think he knows that armored knights exist on the top floor. So a lot of times when you have an enemy like an armored knight or a red dragon with sleep in Charlock and you know it's there, you don't really want to be on what you would think is a borderline level because you're just going to have problems on your dive. So I think he's decided that he just needs something beyond, borderline. Which is an interesting play. He didn't really gain enough MP on that level to get any more heal mores. So he's still sitting at 11 heal mores. He would be up to 136 after removing the death necklace, which, you know, if you actually can make it to the Dragon Lord, you're a favorite with those stats. But he knows that the dive could be pretty challenging. So interesting play for him to just go straight to 17 on these metal slimes here.
And Lorgon in chat keeping count now. There's 14 metal slime kills.
BeeTeas down to 71 MP in the process. This fight is not really winnable, unfortunately. Yep, outside. You're not going to waste your time fighting this Dragon Lord at this point. That was a great decision not to... You could spend 3 minutes fighting the Dragon Lord and then losing. So I like the play to just give up on it, cast outside. Yeah, that was not going to be winnable with the resources. So he's going to heal up and probably just try and run from everything now on 16, while Xarnax tries to get 17. So still very close.
And Mr. Holmes, one of the entrants still in the tournament, making a note here, is wondering if Xarnax is even considering taking the death necklace off and is just going to continue to grind up on metal slimes and gain enough levels to get back to that minimum 97 hit point range with a ridiculous amount of strength.
Yeah, that would be a huge mistake if he just counts on getting the HP. If the HP just never comes, you're just getting more and more levels. Like right now, he could fight the Dragon Lord right now if he takes it off. And I forget exactly what part of the world Brockenary is in. It was right next to Garanham, so maybe it's not that close by, but I mean, if you get a clear level, you have to take it off. I mean, there's no question. I mean, if level 17 happens to give him a whole bunch of hit points, then yeah, that's just gravy. But if it's clear that the stats will allow him to win, he's got to go take it off.
We are just 358 experience away from finding that out.
And BeeTeas is going to dive at 16, and I don't know that he's necessarily going to go for 17 on the way. His dive actually went fairly well the last time. He managed to hold on to all of his magic, despite the fact that the Armored Knights are in here with the sleep spell. So maybe he thinks that he can just do it again and not go for 17 on the way. But here's an Armored Knight, and he gets away. We'll see when he eventually finds a wizard, for example. Yeah, see, he's even running from wizards. So BeeTeas has decided 16 is it. The clock is ticking. We're near an hour and 40. So he is not going to go for 17, and Xarnax is, and that is going to be the decider in this race, one way or the other.
Oh, and Merc had to know. Now, I don't believe BeeTeas did he replenish his herbs from what he had used in the previous thing? I don't know if he did.
I did not notice him doing that. That's a good point. And I think there's a town pretty close to Charlock, but I could be misremembering that. Yeah, that would be a little bit of a mistake because this level is not like, you don't have like an abundance of resources here. You kind of want those herbs for the Dragon Lord 1 fight.
Well, Xarnax hitting 17, getting an additional 13 power.
Yeah, and see, the hit points are not even close. He absolutely has to go back to Brocken right now and take this thing off. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure where he's going right now, but 82 hit points, you can't win with 82 hit points, so you've got to relocate Brockenary. It looks like he is going to fight for 18 and just keep it on. I'm shocked by that. I mean, he's got so many stats if he just takes it off to win right now.
Yeah, if it removes the death necklace, the stats would reset to you would get your 25% hit points back and lose 10 attack power, but would still be at 149.
I'm pretty confident you do get the hit points back if you decurse, yeah.
So you'd be hitting for 12 to 24 on the Dragon Lord.
Yeah, I want to say Silverfire used the Death Necklace early in the race against me, and ended up taking it. Used it for like a mid-game grind, and then just took it off. And I think everything reverts back to the way it was. So yeah, if he doesn't have any memory of where Brockenary is, then I kind of question the whole tactic in the first place. But maybe he's just going to go for 18 and I hope he gets hit points now. Ugh. Well, meanwhile, BeeTeas actually has managed a pretty decent dive here. Looks like he's down just 4 MP, which is, he has not lost any heal mores yet. And he has managed to block the spell, so nice move to use the stop spell on the Armored Knight. So he'll be going into the Dragon Lord fight here with 11 heal mores and 136 attack power, which on paper should be enough. Assuming, he didn't actually need these herbs for the Dragon Lord 1 fight, and it goes pretty well, and he doesn't get back attacked and all that. So this is still pretty close. Let's see what happens.
Meanwhile, Xarnax is diving into Charlock with the 82 hit points.
Oh, and he gets the stop spell. Didn't even need the herbs. So perfect Dragon Lord 1 fight, and he doesn't get back attacked. So advantage BeeTeas now. A good sequence of events happening for him. All he needs now is good damage rolls.
Getting a double to start, so a 14 and a 9 for 23. And they're hitting for a huge 17 that puts him up to 40. Now the attack range is 9 to 18, so we've already seen a minimum, a middle, and a near max. This one's in the upper end at 16, so we're up to 56.
Xarnax is picking off the weaker enemies on the way. And BeeTeas is in the middle of the fight here.
Already at 72, now another 13, that's 85, with still now 6 heal mores left.
It's actually looking pretty good for him. Now, Dragon Lord can have up to 165 for hit points. That could sometimes come into play. I think he should be able to cover that whole range here unless he gets some really bad rolls.
As you say that, there's a 10 for near the bottom for a 109. Now down to 4 heal mores. But there's another high 17, so we're up to 126. 3 heal mores still to go. Pending a miss menu, I think BeeTeas has it here. Oh, and there's another 16. We're at 142. Dragon Lord can have anywhere between 150 and 165 hit points.
Yeah, this is
There's
guaranteed.
a 9. There's a 151. So the next attack could very well do it, pending another minimum roll. And there's an 11, and that is going to do it.
GG! BeeTeas is on to the semifinals.
So now we're heading back to the castle, walking down the promenade, and is going to receive the accolades from the king. And make sure you give your accolades via GG's in chat for BeeTeas, who is going to advance to the semifinals with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 43 minutes, and 33 seconds.
Well done for BeeTeas. He's having some great bracket stage races. Playing his best game at the right time in the tournament. He's on to the semifinals. Do we have BeeTeas with us already?
Am I here?
Yes.
Oh, good job, Discord. Thanks.
GG, sir. Congrats.
Hey,
Nice
GG.
race.
Thank you.
So what'd you feel about the seed overall? It was on the longer side, an hour 43:33 for you on the finishing time.
Yeah, faster than average by, what, a few minutes?
Yeah, I remember
I'll pull up those numbers.
The first few levels seem to come pretty slowly, so that's always tends to make seeds a bit long. Then you got kind of a late hurt more.
Yeah.
And in between, you guys had to traverse a fairly large first continent to find all these locations. You were taking quite a few overworld deaths in the process because you just couldn't get any hit points for a long time.
I couldn't get away from those red dragons. They seem to be blocking all the choke points of the map.
Yeah, it looks like
there
every
were
time-
certainly a lot of them.
Every time I turned around, you were dying to a red dragon, it seemed. And for a little while, Xarnax was able to kill red dragons while you were still having trouble with them because he had gotten some of the equipment slightly earlier. What was the turning point? I think you were the first to find Hawk's Nest, believe it or not, because that was really tucked away for both of you. I know you found it pretty late, but it was quite a bit earlier than Xarnax found it.
It was a crime. Because, first off, I was like, I need to find the mountain cave, so I looked everywhere and I found it, and I was like, sweet, I have everything. I was like, oh wait, I still haven't found Hawksness in the token. So I healed up, and I was like, I'll just stay alive through the whole grind and just buy myself a shield. And then I died stupidly on the way back towards where I hadn't found a Hawksness yet, so there's one part of the map left, so that was pretty much nails in the coffin for me. I was tense from that moment forward because I'm not buying a shield, I'm not going to get better equipment, and he's going to beat me, and that's the only thing I could think about the whole time.
Yeah, it must have been stressful when you're in that situation where you're kind of wanting that next level on the bottom floor of Sharlock, but it's just not the right enemy set. And it seemed like the lack of a shield really came into play there because you just weren't breaking any of those enemies. It was just like, how am I going to hold on to this MP? And finally, you gave up on it and cast outside because you just had to burn too many heal mores doing that.
Yeah, I looked at it, and my minimum damage on the Dragon Lord was like 9. And I was like, I can hit him exactly 11 times for 99. I'm out of here. So I took my level up and filled up and just dove because I made a lot of mistakes, and a reasonable person would have finished this at about an hour 19.
I mean, with maybe some luck and not running into a lot of those red dragons, I mean, both of you had a lot of deaths. I mean, I'm looking here, and I believe both of you have combined for, at this point, 41 deaths.
Oh man, that's a lot of COD.
So there was
a lot of CODs.
There was a point, BTs, where I think you had kind of early on, you finished doing the top of the grave. And then I think you died in there. Did you consider doing a gold grind at that point? Because I think you saw some good stuff in Garanham, but you just kind of noped out of there and just went to the map.
I did.
I don't think you ever did do a grind because you ended up finding the sword in Mountain Cave. You were on the hand axe for like forever.
Yeah, I thought for sure someone would sell me a broadsword, but I won't grind unless I really happen into it. And this was a good seed to not do the grind because the shield wasn't mandatory and the sword was not in Sharlock. If I didn't find the sword, then I would have been really concerned and probably gone back for a flame sword and a gold grind, but having the sword made me feel like, okay, my opponent probably did a gold grind and I could probably get that time back by not having to, you know, loot, 20 boxes to get a flame sword.
Yeah, I agree. By the time you actually got Erdrick's sword, I definitely agree with not doing the grind. But I think when you first did the grave, it was pretty early in the game. I think you might have only been on level 6 or 7, so I thought maybe at that point you would have done a grind. But I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering exactly when that was.
I think I was just trying to take my ghetto gold with me, like the 2 boxes for about 1,500, die, go back to 750, get to 21, and I wasn't really focused on a big grind at that point. I just wanted some medium gear.
Nice.
I wanted more information before I did that big gold grind.
Yeah, fair enough.
Experience. I need to know where Hurtmore is. If you get Hurtmore early, I don't need a flame sword, so in retrospect, it's just really easy to say what you would do.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. It did end up. That was another factor. The late Hurtmore. So it just seemed like for both of you guys, just making your way around the map was. It wasn't free in this one. To me, it was like you didn't get any hit points for a long time, so it made things like fighting golems and red dragons just like undoable for a long time. And red dragons in particular, you can't get away from them either. So it's like, ugh.
I seem to have no trouble running from the red dragons early on. One of our levels gave us 22 agility, and then the agility never stopped coming after that. There were a couple levels with no power, but no trouble running.
Yeah, and what did you come up with for your end game grind? I assume you saw both spike tiles and they were both stone men, so obviously that wasn't gonna work. Having
stone man with heal more.
Yeah.
Explain.
So then, how did you decide on where to grind? It looked like for a while you were working on the hills there north of Tantegel, and then maybe you did some as you were fighting your way down Sharlock as well. How do you decide when a situation like that comes up, how you're going to get those experience points?
Well, whenever I'm in doubt, I just looked to my hero Iron Maiden, and I ran to the hills to get my sweet vengeance on those red dragons. And I also knew that there were our X-Knights over there, and they wanted to cast Stop Spell. So I figured that was the safest place to grind without dying close to a town.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah, Xarnax, he found a metal slime grind where he ended up using the death necklace to start one-shotting metal slimes, which seemed to be working out pretty well for a while, but just not getting the hit points. And he decided not to decurse. I think he just went for the extra level, and it just didn't work out for him. But
that was definitely my plan. Oh, because
was it? Okay.
I'm at 136 now on attack power.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was one of the interesting parts of the game. Actually, turned out to be the grind itself. I don't know what else happened. Anything else that you can remember being challenging?
Okay, I don't know if anyone noticed, but I ran out of keys when I went to my Garen grave deep dive.
Oh no, I did not notice that.
So I
That's
cast
funny.
outside, went back in, and grabbed the key in there. And then that was my last key. I just took it with me everywhere I went. When I made the rainbow drop, I got a spare key in case I like stepped out of Tangel or something. I was really scared I was gonna lose my key.
Oh, so you actually had one. It wasn't like you completely ran out, though, right? So it's
I
you
had
didn't make a
zero
trip back
in
anywhere.
Warrenham, and then went
Ugh.
through the open door to the free key chest. And then I was nervous because the spike tile in Charlotte could have been a golem, and the fairy flute is either in the treasury or in the vanilla sword location, so I had that ticket key with me, but I didn't want to use it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, it's you had keys
Oh.
right away, but then yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, chat noting the question about the path to in Cantlin to the coordinates, and having 59 hit points and making 4 steps, and well, yeah, BeeTeas is doing the math in chat.
I was embarrassing. I was actually mashing A instead of holding A, and I just missed my frame, so I just took the death. And then imagine how super angry it is when you make it back there. Actually, you die, then you make it back there, and then you find out the coordinates are like a tile you could search by accident outside.
When you were making your, I noted in commentary here that after taking that death and making your path back, I had noted that you had walked over the step that the searchable item was on.
Oh man, what a silly seed. This would be great. This is a great, what do you call them? You know, the Router's Relish seed, where you get to know everything about it and try and race it. This would be good for that, for sure. To start off with an armor and a whole bunch of red dragons.
Yeah, it was funny because the way you guys routed, neither one of you had any quest items for like a long time. And then I thought that the fact that you didn't do the bottom of the grave was going to trip you up for a while because the stones we saw on Xarnax's side, they were down there. But then you ended up going in there a little bit earlier than I expected. I thought you were going to save that for last.
Yeah, so at the time, I needed both the stones and the harp, and I couldn't find the mountain cave. So I was like, well, maybe I don't need to find the mountain cave. Let's go finish up Garanaham. And then I found out the mountain was required.
Okay,
But I found a
makes
sword in
sense.
there, so that was good.
Nice. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it worked out well because you had the stones out of the way a little earlier, and yes. Then by the time you found mountain, you knew. Oh, I guess at that point you still needed. You guys both needed Hawk's Nest like forever. It was
Yeah, but I
crazy
didn't
how
remember
long
that yet.
Right.
I get really nervous and cold when I'm standing on the search tile and there's nothing there. I'm like, is it the one below me? Or am I too high?
Oh yeah, or if
Why
you
is
do
there nothing in here?
if you do take instead of search or whatever, yeah. Brutal.
That would be silly. I think I made one more mistake, and I think that was dang, it's gone. I did something pretty stupid early too, but I forgot. I remember when chat was hassling me just a second ago, but now it's gone.
Xarnax looks like he's gonna go for it on level 19 with 90 hit points, unless he's continuing to fight more enemies, but he's getting some silly statistics having this death necklace equipped. He's making his way through Charlotte.
163 attack power.
So, death necklace strats here for Xarnax.
Was he able to kill any metal slimes actually?
Yeah,
He went on a metal slime slaughtering spree.
Oh, good man. They deserved it.
I think
when he first
I
put
think
it
the
on,
count
it was
stopped
doing-
somewhere around 24 or 25 metal slimes.
Oh wow. Yeah, when he first put it on, it put him up to, what was it, 132, and that he was doing 1 to 2 damage and getting them here and there. And then the next level, he was able to start one-shotting them.
Yeah, he got the 10 attack power or 10 strength bonus with that level, and that allowed him. I think it was at level 15. That got him to averaged between, I think it was 3 and 7 per, so it was a guaranteed one shot, and he just started obliterating metal slimes.
Yeah, I thought the plan the whole time was for him to go back and revisit Brockenary when the time comes, take it off, you know? Because for a while he was really making some good progress on that experience.
You just get addicted to the attack power.
He never took it off. Still has it on, in fact. He's going to go for it with 90 hit points.
Well, before he gets to that spike tile there, the other thing that I did was when I finally made it through the swamp cave, I encountered a metal slime that ran from me, but then I found some wolves, which were appropriate for my level. And I'm looking at Xarnax's splits right here. It looks like through level 11 we had pretty similar times on level ups.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. One of the differences a little bit was while Xarnax had a little bit of an exploration lead, you were making up ground, I think 2 or 3 different times at least. You just kind of stopped what you were doing and you found a little grind zone in the overworld. I remember another spot in the desert where you found some rogue scorpions, and I think maybe also some metal slimes there as well.
It was metal slimes, wraith knights, and rogue scorpions, and regular scorpions, and drachemas, I think.
So you did that a few different times throughout the game. And so how do you decide when to do that, by the way? Because is it just like you just feel like you're not making progress, and so it's like, well, I need another level, or...
A, B, G, X, B. Always be getting experience. Always be closing, you know?
Man, that's a long acronym. Gotta remember it.
Get it on your elemental... No. What I look for is...
And Xarnax manages a perfect DL1 fight, by the way.
Yeah, he's just crushing this guy. I would say when you can one-shot a warlock, you should fight your mid-tier enemies.
And here's where the challenge comes in. The Dragon Lord breath hitting for 44, 46, so immediately having to double heal more. And now having to triple heal more, so not able to get anything beyond the first attack. And the Dragon Lord doing nothing but breathing fire thus far. And finally a melee attack for 24.
At risk! 44.
Yeah, this is still kind of doable, though, because he only needed about 6 heal mores for this battle. It's just that he's just got to get better luck with what the Dragon Lord's doing. And now he's starting to attack at 46, which he's going to eventually need to do a little bit of that. I think he's still got this, though. He only needs like 2 or 3 more attacks. He's just got to squeeze him in between all these double heals that he needs to do here. So, interesting situation.
161 total.
Yeah, 44 is a little low to swing on. But I think anytime he's at like 45 or higher, he'll probably swing now.
There's a good 24 there. Down to 3 more heal mores.
They're saying 102 so far in chat, so he's going to need like 3 more swings. And starting to run out of turns. Not getting very lucky with what Dragon Lord's doing. Getting the fire breath pretty often, unfortunately. But there's another swing. Oh, he got him.
It's just 1 more at this point. 154, now 174, and that is going to do it.
Yeah, 90 hit points. Very nice battle from Xarnax.
Wow.
He swung at least once on 46 and survived. I don't know if he did that more than once. But yeah, very nicely done, Xarnax. Let's get an official time here.
The official SRL time looks to be 2 hours and 41 seconds. Well, shout out to Washington, D.C. with the 20041. Little zip code knowledge there. So get out your GG. Xarnax with a very impressive showing and certainly keeping it interesting. And one note that I had, I believe it was right around the hour and a half mark that both of you for a split second had the exact same experience total of 8801.
Magical.
Yeah, you didn't know who was going to take it. It was just going back and forth the entire time. Exploration lead, experience lead, changing hands a few times. It lived up to the hype and then some. And we have Xarnax joining us here in chat. GG, and a gallant effort, and certainly an entertaining slaughtering of metal slimes.
Oh, thanks, GG, That
GG,
was,
Mr. Xarnax.
something. I'm really curious, like, so I'm sure everybody is wondering why I put on the death necklace when I did. And I felt I had so much trouble finding that token, and then so many, like, even when I knew where it was, it took forever, just bad luck all over the place. I felt way behind, and I couldn't find a place I wanted to grind, and I liked the idea of the metal slime grind. I mean, I'm always kind of partial to it anyway, but I really felt like it was the best place for me to grind, and I felt like I had to make the play and hope that I would get the HP back in time to finish.
Yeah, that was what was interesting to me. It actually it was a lot closer than you would think. At that point, you were actually pretty close with who was going to be able to get there first at that point. But I was curious if you had any thought of just revisiting Brockenary and taking it off when the time came, because you did get a couple of quick levels with the metal slimes, and then you got the attack power you needed, but you just didn't have anywhere close to enough HP. So you ended up choosing to go an extra couple of levels. And I know Brockenary wasn't necessarily that close to where you were, but I thought maybe the plan was to go decurse and then just dive with normal stats. But
yeah, that possibility never even occurred to me.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Bold
so instead, you managed it with 90 hit points, which is always fun to watch. That was an interesting fight.
Yeah, I knew going down, fighting down my way down would have been safer, but at that point the race was over. Wanted to make it interesting.
Give it a little show for the viewers.
So what did you think about the rest of the seed, Xarnax? It's kind of a slow start for both of you, and then I think you took a right and you found what was that first town? Was it Cole? I believe you found it quite a bit earlier, and then you kind of explored in that direction from there. So how did the whole thing feel to you?
It felt really well. Yeah, it felt pretty good at first. There were a few times I got out a little ways and died right before I reached a dead end. And so I kind of felt like that may have been a disadvantage. I mean, having to revisit that just to find out there was nothing there several times. Those were all disadvantages. But yeah, I felt like I had a fairly decent start.
Yeah, and it looked like that to us as well. You did seem to have at least a small advantage for quite a while into the race. And then you found the armor first, which helped some survivability. You had to deal with some low hit points for a long time. So finding the armor was nice. You had that quite a bit earlier. And so it seemed like your exploration was making more progress for the first half or 2/3 of the race. And you just had that a little bit of a lead going. And then it seemed like you said, you just had some trouble finding the last couple of things, like just forever to find, Mountain and Hawksness.
Yeah, I made two really big mistakes. The first was Mountain Cave. I knew it was in the northeast, but I didn't know quite where it was well enough. There was actually one point where I was approaching it from the east, and I think it was maybe half a screen off of my screen, and I turned back and went all the way back around, came up to it south from Charlock. I already had found it, and then when I died inside it, I knew that was going to be the last thing I needed, so I did a bunch of other exploration and then forgot where it was. Then the other big mistake was when I found, I think it was Garenham and Breckenary were right next to each other, and for some reason, I was convinced that Breckenary was Hawksness. I think I hadn't even considered that I hadn't found Breckenary yet. So I kind of did my routing, knowing the token was in Hawksness, and thinking that I knew exactly where that was.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you felt like you didn't have to do any more exploration, and maybe you were doing some grinding or something.
Hmm.
I don't remember exactly. But yeah, if it was kind of the last thing that both of you found, but for you, it seemed like it took an especially long time to find Hawk's Nest, which is just kind of one of those things that happens in Randomizer sometimes. So
Well, I'm looking at the numbers here. I mean, the differential between when they found Hawk's Nest was only about 6 minutes. It's just because it was an hour and 10, an hour and 15 minutes into the seed, it felt like a lot longer.
yeah, I think the second to last thing for both of them though was Mountain Cave. I think Xarnax finished Mountain Cave quite a bit earlier, so it just took a long
That's
time
correct.
to find Hawk's Nest. Yeah.
Well, even that, I'm looking at the numbers. I mean, it was maybe about 5 minutes before BeeTeas found it found the silver harp and Nerdrick's sword in the mountain cave. Then Xarnax did. That was about the 58-minute mark. So it's one of those where because things were so back and forth and so much was going on, it felt like a long gap between the two, but it closed up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it was a fun race to watch because nothing was really free for you guys. It was,
Yeah, it sounds like it.
no hurt more for a long time, no sword for a long time. You had low hit points, so you had to watch how you guys managed all the different challenges to make progress. It was, I think a lot of
Plus,
runners would have had a lot worse time with that seed.
Not to mention also the extremely arduous coordinates.
Yes.
Glad the princess was out there in Tanajo.
I tried to say that with a straight face. I couldn't. Yeah, I think we noted just that as soon as we saw that, we thought, oh man, there have to be all kinds of face palmings going on. Really? It was one of those where you probably did trip over it.
Yeah, that's the shortest walk I've seen in a tournament race for sure. That was a really small walk there.
Yeah, they're gonna have to implement a shovel. So the old man gives you a shovel and the coordinates, and you have to use the shovel on the tile. That way, you can't just accidentally get it.
That's for the Dragon Warrior Link to the Past crossover, doing the shovel game.
Yeah, that's out already, right?
If it isn't, it probably should be. I'd be down for that. Erdrick's shovel. There we go. Well said, Sparkover. Oh wow. Well, I was gonna say the only thing I knew there was something else I was gonna ask here. So BeeTeas, now you're moving on to the semifinals here to take on the defending champion Game Boy F9. Your thoughts on that challenge coming up in its best 2 out of 3 falls, as they say in the wrestling business.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go in as a head or a heel, but I'm really terrified of Game Boy. I'm not even sure the last time I beat him at anything ever. So I'm gonna have to brush up for sure and do one of those races where I don't make a single mistake for about 90 minutes and hope it's a longer seed, because he's really good at the fast ones, just same as Nescard is. And, up until this race, I had a above median finish time in all of the previous races, which is kind of cool. But this one was kind of lacking